Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Her Smile. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video.
My name is Dominica Adams. I'm 29 years old, and until recently, I thought I knew what family meant. I'm an interior designer. Sounds glamorous, right? The reality is a tiny apartment I can barely afford because $2,000 every month goes to my mom. Bills, electricity, emergencies. I still drink my coffee from a chipped mug I brought from college. Buying myself something new always felt selfish when Mom was crying on the phone about the power being shut off. My younger sister Morticia lives differently. While I worked 2 jobs and helped with the mortgage after Dad left, she was building her modeling career, a career that somehow never involved actual photo shoots, but always included vacations in Greece. Every month a new country on Instagram, every month another transfer from me to Mom. Mom used to call me her rock, solid, reliable, always there. But rocks don't feel pain, do they? They just stand there while everyone else builds their lives on top of them. That Tuesday started like any other. Morning coffee, checking my phone, scrolling through Morticia's stories from some spa hotel, lunch break, preparing a presentation for a big client. And at 2:47 p.m., a text from Mom. 3 sentences, 27 words, and 30 years of trying to be the perfect daughter, straight into the trash. Don't call or come over anymore. We're done. The family has decided. The family has decided. What family? When did they meet? Why wasn't I invited to my own exile? I sat in the office bathroom stall for 20 minutes, reading it over and over. My hands were shaking. The only thing my brain could squeeze out in response was one word. Got it. One word hiding a tsunami of questions. One word that would later become my strength. But in that moment, it felt like surrender. That evening, I drove past Mom's house. I know she said not to come, but I needed to understand. Her car in the driveway. Next to it, Aunt Linda's SUV, Morticia's brand new BMW, Uncle Ted's pickup. Warm light glowing in the living room windows, silhouettes moving inside, the familiar choreography of a family dinner without me. My phone lit up with a notification. Morticia posted a selfie. Love these family dinners. So blessed. Everyone smiling, raising glasses. Mom's arm around Morticia, the same way she used to hold me when I was little, when I still believed I mattered. The caption continued. Family is everything when you cut out the toxic energy. Comments full of hearts and agreement. Nobody asked who the toxic energy was. The next morning, everything clicked into place. You know that feeling when you're staring at one of those magic eye puzzles for hours, and then click. The hidden image appears? I opened Facebook. Aunt Linda's post from 3 weeks ago. Another wonderful Addams family dinner. These monthly traditions mean everything. Monthly traditions. I started scrolling back, photo after photo, 6 months of family gatherings I never knew about, birthdays, mini reunions at the lake house, holiday dinners, captions like the whole family together, finally everyone's here. While I sat at home wondering why Mom had been so busy lately. The irony is that I was funding these gatherings. Those urgent bills I kept sending money for, they lined up perfectly with the dinner dates. I was literally buying tickets to a show I wasn't allowed to attend. The electricity crisis last month. The same weekend, they threw Morticia a surprise birthday party with professional catering and a photographer. On Wednesday, I called in sick for the first time in my life without actually being sick. But I was sick, wasn't I? Sick of being used, sick of my own blindness, sick of being the family ATM that everyone forgot existed until they needed a withdrawal. I spent the whole day going through bank statements. Every crisis, every tearful phone call matched an event I wasn't invited to. $23,000 in the last year alone. Not loans, gifts. Because family doesn't keep score, right? Turns out they do keep score. They just scored me right out of the family while cashing my checks. But the real gut punch was waiting on Morticia's TikTok. She had a whole account about financial freedom through cutting toxic people and manifesting abundance. The video that made me actually laugh out loud was titled, "How I Convinced My Family to Stop Enabling My Codependent Sister," comments praising her bravery. If only they knew. The codependent sister was the one keeping the lights on while Morticia played influencer. That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I went through Mom's Facebook messages. Yes, I know. But she'd left her account logged in on my laptop when I helped her set up online banking. What I found changed everything. Messages between Mom and Morticia, plans to gradually push me out, discussions about how negative I was, how I ruined the family energy, the words that cut deepest. Dominica won't understand. She's always been different. Not really one of us. Not really one of us. As if DNA was optional. As if 30 years could be erased by committee vote. But the most terrifying part was about Grandma Rose's will. Mom wrote to Morticia, "Don't worry, sweetheart, we'll handle the will situation." Dominica doesn't need to know about the changes. Grandma Rose, the only person who ever made me feel truly seen. She'd spent the last year in a nursing home, dementia and Parkinson's. The diseases took her memory and mobility, but never the smile that appeared when I walked into her room. I visited her every Sunday, read her the same book over and over because she liked it. Mom and Morticia showed up maybe once a month, when they needed photos for social media proving what caring family members they were. And then I saw a message that made my blood run cold. 3 months ago, Mom wrote, "The nursing home director is getting suspicious about the signatures. We need to be more careful," Morticia replied. "Don't worry, Marcus is handling it. He knows people who can backdate documents." Marcus, Morticia's boyfriend. I always felt something was off about him. Turns out he was more than just shady. He was their accomplice. Grandma Rose died on a Thursday. Mom didn't tell me. I found out from a cousin's Facebook post. A photo and the words, "Rest in peace, Grandma Rose." Condolence comments. And me sitting there trying to understand why nobody called. The funeral was set for Saturday. I didn't get an invitation. I went anyway. Stood in the back row of the church, watching Mom sob in the front row. The star of the show, Morticia filming on her phone, probably for another post about family values. After the service, Mom noticed me. Her face twisted like I was a ghost. She walked over and hissed, quiet enough so no one could hear. "You shouldn't have come. We explained everything." I only said. She was my grandmother, too. Mom turned away. Not another word. At the reception, I kept my distance, listened to conversations, and heard something interesting. Uncle Robert mentioned the will, reading in 1 week. Mom quickly changed the subject. The next few days, I spent like a detective. Phone calls, requests, careful questions. And here's what I found. Grandma's original will, written 2 years ago when she was still of sound mind, left everything to me. The house, savings, everything, she wrote. Dominica is the only one who comes without wanting something. But 3 months ago, a new will appeared. Grandma had supposedly changed her mind and left everything to Mom and Morticia. My name completely erased. The problem is, 3 months ago, Grandma couldn't hold a pen anymore. I knew this for certain. Every Sunday I was feeding her with a spoon. Forgery, fraud, elder financial abuse. And I had proof. The nursing home visitor log, my signature every Sunday, theirs once a month. Medical records documenting Grandma's condition. That Facebook conversation. And something else. Patricia, the nurse who cared for Grandma. She saw everything. Saw how Mom and Morticia only came with papers to sign. Saw how they rushed Grandma when she didn't understand what she was signing. Patricia was risking her job, but she agreed to testify. I should tell you about how I met Patricia. After I discovered the Facebook messages, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, playing every family memory on repeat. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Sunday dinner. Looking for signs I'd missed, and finding them. So many of them. The way Mom's eyes would glaze over when I talked about my work, but light up when Morticia mentioned her latest trip. The way my gifts were always opened last and commented on least. The way I was always seated at the far end of the table, close to the kitchen, convenient for refilling drinks and clearing plates. I'd been the help. For 30 years, I'd been the help who also paid the bills. That first night after the discovery, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront anyone. Not yet. I was going to build a case so airtight that they'd never be able to wiggle out of it. No more you misunderstood. No more you're being dramatic. No more gaslighting. I started with the bank records. Every transfer, every emergency loan, every time I dipped into my savings because Mom was crying about something urgent. I made a spreadsheet. Dates, amounts, reasons given. Then I cross-referenced it with social media posts. The correlation was sickening. May 15th, $800 for car repairs. May 16th, Morticia posts from a spa weekend. June 3rd, $200 for medical bills. June 4th, family barbecue photos I wasn't in. July 20th, $2,000 for overdue electricity. July 21st, Morticia's surprise birthday party with the catering and photographer. $23,000. That's what my erasure cost. That's what they charged me to push me out of my own family. Next, I called the nursing home, asked to speak with someone about my grandmother's care. That's how I met Patricia. She was hesitant at first. I could hear it in her voice. I'm not supposed to discuss patients with anyone but authorized family members. I understand, I said, but I visit every Sunday. I'm the one who brings her the lavender lotion she likes, the one who reads her Pride and Prejudice because it was her favorite when she could still remember. Silence on the other end, then quietly. Can you come in tomorrow? Not during regular visiting hours. Come at 7 a.m. before the administration arrives. That meeting changed everything. Patricia had been a nurse for 22 years. She'd seen families at their best and worst, and she'd been watching mine for months. Your grandmother, she said, stirring her coffee in the break room. She has these moments, lucid moments. They're getting rarer, but when they happen, she's sharp as ever, and she talks about you. My throat tightened. What does she say? That you're the only one who sees her. Not the disease, not the inheritance. Her. She told me once that you remind her of herself when she was young. Before... Patricia hesitated. Before your mother happened to her. What do you mean? Patricia looked around, making sure we were alone. I've been doing this job a long time. I know the signs of financial abuse, the rushed visits with paperwork, the pressure to sign things, the way your mother talks to your grandmother when she thinks no one's listening. She pulled out her phone. I started keeping records 6 months ago. Dates, times, what I observed. She lowered her voice. I also have access to the security footage archives. I wasn't sure what to do with any of it, but if you're willing to take this further, I'll help you. I could have hugged her. This woman, this stranger who owed me nothing, was willing to risk her career to help me get justice for my grandmother. Why? I asked. Why would you do this? Patricia's eyes grew distant. My mother went through something similar. My brother convinced her to change her will while she was on heavy medication after a stroke. By the time I found out, it was too late. She passed, and he got everything. I couldn't prove anything. She looked at me. I see the same thing happening here, and I can't stand by again. Over the next 2 weeks, Patricia became my secret ally. She gathered footage, documented every visit, and most importantly, she helped me get that audio recording. She's been asking for you, Patricia called me one Sunday morning, and she's lucid. Really lucid. This might be your chance. I rushed to the nursing home. Grandma was sitting up in bed, her eyes clear for the first time in months. Dominica, she said, and her voice was stronger than I'd heard it in over a year. My sweet girl, sit down. I need to tell you something. I sat beside her, holding her fragile hand. My phone was in my pocket, recording. I hated doing it. It felt like a betrayal of this intimate moment, but I needed proof for both of us. Your mother came yesterday, Grandma said, with more papers. She thinks I don't know what's happening, but I know. I've always known what she is. Grandma. Let me finish. I don't have many of these moments left. Her grip tightened on my hand. I changed my will 2 years ago, left everything to you, because you're the only one who comes without wanting something in return. Your mother has been trying to change it back, making me sign things when I'm confused. I know, Grandma. I found out. She nodded slowly. Then you need to fight. Don't let them win. They've taken enough from this family, from me. Don't let them take what's yours. I won't. I promise. She smiled then, and for a moment she looked like the grandmother I remembered from childhood, the one who taught me to bake cookies and told me I could be anything I wanted. You were always enough, Dominica. Remember that. Whatever happens, you were always enough. Those were the last coherent words she ever spoke to me. 2 weeks later, she was gone. But I had what I needed, and I was ready. The will reading was scheduled for 2 p.m. on a Saturday at the attorney's office downtown. A sterile conference room with leather chairs and a long mahogany table, the kind of room where families come to collect their inheritance, or in my case, to watch their betrayers fall. I arrived early, wore my best blazer, the one I'd been saving for client presentations. I wanted to look professional, composed, nothing like the emotional mess they expected me to be. Mom and Morticia came in together dressed in black like they were still in mourning. The performance never stopped with them. Mom dabbed at dry eyes with a tissue. Morticia had her phone out, probably live streaming grief content for her followers. They didn't expect to see me. "What are you doing here?" Mom's voice was sharp, her mourning act slipping for just a second. "Grandma was my grandmother too," I said calmly. "I have a right to be here." Morticia rolled her eyes. "This is so typical, always making everything about yourself." I didn't respond, just smiled and took my seat at the opposite end of the table. Uncle Robert arrived next, then Aunt Linda, then a few cousins I barely knew, everyone carefully avoiding eye contact with me. The black sheep, the toxic energy, the one who'd been voted out. The attorney cleared his throat. "Shall we begin?" He started reading the new will, the fraudulent one. Mom's name for the house, Morticia's name for the savings accounts, a few token items for the extended family. Nothing for me, not even mentioned. I let him finish, let Mom's satisfied smile spread across her face, let Morticia actually pump her fist under the table like she'd won something. Then I raised my hand. "Excuse me, I have questions about the authenticity of this document." The attorney frowned. "I'm sorry? This will is dated 3 months ago. At that time, my grandmother was in the advanced stages of dementia and Parkinson's disease. She couldn't hold a pen. She couldn't sign her own name." I pulled a folder from my bag. I have her medical records confirming this. Mom's face went white. "Dominica, what are you—" "I also have the visitor logs from the nursing home." I slid papers across the table, showing that I visited every Sunday for the past year, and that you, Mom, and you, Morticia, visited approximately once a month, usually with paperwork. "This is ridiculous," Morticia spat. "You can't just—" "I also have testimony from a nurse who witnessed you pressuring Grandma to sign documents when she was confused and disoriented, and security footage backing up that testimony." The room was dead silent. Even the attorney had stopped pretending to be neutral. "But the most important evidence," I continued, pulling out my phone, "is this. An audio recording I made 2 weeks before Grandma passed, during one of her lucid moments." I pressed play. Grandma's voice filled the room, thin but clear. "Dominica, sweetheart, you're the only one who comes just because. Your mother and sister think I don't notice. But I see. They only come for money or signatures. You come because you love me. That's why I'm leaving everything to you. Don't let them take it away. They've already taken enough." Mom stood up so fast her chair fell backward. That's been manipulated. She's lying. She made that up somehow." "There's also this," I said, holding up my phone to show the screen. Screenshots of your Facebook messages with Morticia, planning how to push me out of the family, discussing how to handle the will situation, and my personal favorite. I read aloud. The nursing home director is getting suspicious about the signatures. We need to be more careful. Morticia grabbed for my phone. Give me that. You had no right to... To what? To discover that you've been committing elder fraud, forgery, financial abuse of a vulnerable adult? I stood my ground. I've already sent copies of everything to the police. They should be here any minute. As if on cue, the conference room door opened. 2 officers in uniform. Behind them, a detective in plain clothes. Diana Adams? Morticia Adams? The detective said. You're both under arrest for elder abuse, fraud, and forgery. You have the right to remain silent. Watching them get handcuffed was surreal. Mom was crying for real now, mascara running down her face. Morticia was screaming about her rights, about false accusations, about how I'd ruined everything. But the sweetest moment came from Uncle Robert. He walked over to me as the police led my mother and sister out, put his hand on my shoulder. Rose would be proud of you, he said quietly. She always said you were the strong one. I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. But for the first time in months, they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of relief. It was over, and I had won. Justice moved faster than I expected. Maybe because the evidence was overwhelming. Maybe because this wasn't their first scheme. Marcus had a record, and the investigation uncovered connections to other fraud cases in 2 states. Mom's trial lasted 3 days. Her attorney tried every trick, claiming she was manipulated by Marcus, that she didn't understand what she was signing, that she was just trying to protect the family assets. None of it worked. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. 5 years federal prison, elder fraud, forgery, mail fraud because she'd mailed some of the falsified documents. Morticia tried to cut a deal, offered to testify against Mom in exchange for a reduced sentence. The prosecutor declined. They had enough evidence without her cooperation. She got 3 years plus full restitution of everything she'd received from Grandma's accounts. Marcus was caught trying to cross into Canada. 7 years. Turns out he'd been running similar schemes in 3 other states. My grandmother wasn't even his first victim. The nursing home faced its own reckoning. The director lost his license. The facility was investigated, and 3 other families came forward with similar stories of coerced signatures and suspicious document changes. Patricia was promoted to director of a different facility, where she implemented new protocols to protect vulnerable residents. And Morticia's influencer empire? It didn't just collapse. It became a case study. Someone made a documentary. Manifesting Fraud: The Rise and Fall of Toxic Positivity. Influencers. Morticia was the star example. All her videos about cutting toxic people and manifesting abundance played alongside footage of her arrest, her court appearances, her tearful apology that convinced no one. It went viral on Netflix. Her followers dropped from 40,000 to barely 100, and most of those were just rubberneckers waiting to see if she'd post from prison. Spoiler: she did. Once. A teary video about learning and growing. The comments were brutal. I watched it once, that documentary. Saw myself described as the sister who fought back. Saw Patricia interviewed, her face partially obscured for privacy. Saw legal experts explain how common elder financial abuse really is, and how rarely victims have someone to fight for them. That's when I decided to start the foundation, the Rose Adams Foundation for Elder Protection. We help families recognize the signs of financial abuse. We provide legal resources for those who can't afford attorneys. We work with nursing homes to implement better safeguards. Patricia serves on the board. So does the prosecutor who handled Mom's case. In our first year, we've helped 47 families. 47 grandmothers and grandfathers who might have lost everything without someone to advocate for them. Grandma's house is mine now, the one Mom was so sure she'd inherit. I kept most of it the way Grandma had it. her china in the dining room, her books on the shelves, her garden that I'm slowly learning to tend. But I keep finding things she left behind. Not just the notes, though there are plenty of those. Hidden in books, tucked behind picture frames, folded into drawers. Little messages she must have written during her lucid moments, knowing she wouldn't have many more. Dominica, water the roses on Thursday. They like Thursday water best. The recipe for your grandfather's pasta is in the blue cookbook, page 47. Don't let anyone change it. You were always my favorite. Don't tell anyone. But you knew, didn't you? And the one that made me cry hardest. Dominica, you were always enough. I'm sorry no one else told you, but I'm telling you now, you were always, always enough. I framed that one. It hangs in my office now. The home office I built in Grandma's spare room where my business has grown beyond anything I imagined. 3 major clients, 2 employees. Sarah from accounting, the woman who brought me tea on the worst day of my life, is now my business partner. She told me she recognized the look on my face that day because she'd worn it herself once. Her story is different from mine, but the wounds are similar. Sometimes chosen family understands use better than blood ever could. Mom still writes, 17 letters the first month, then 12, then 8, now down to about 1 a week, each one a masterclass in manipulation. I was only trying to protect you from gold diggers. Your sister manipulated me. I was a victim too. A mother's love never dies. Please visit me. I forgive you for everything you've done to me. That last one almost made me laugh. Almost. I return them all unopened now. Addressee no longer at this location. Because the daughter she's writing to, the one who would feel guilty, who would wonder if she was being too harsh, who would maybe consider that one visit couldn't hurt, that person doesn't exist anymore. I killed her. Or rather, Mom killed her with that first text message. Don't call or come over anymore. We're done. The family has decided. The family decided. And for once, they made the right choice. They just didn't realize it at the time. I still have that text saved on my phone. Not out of pain anymore. As a reminder that the worst day of your life might be the first day of your real life. That when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. That got it can be the most powerful response you can give. Because it means you finally, truly understand. The best revenge isn't living well, though I'm doing that too. The best revenge is living free. Free from the obligation to love people who don't love you back. Free from the guilt of setting boundaries. Free from the lie that DNA determines your worth. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you when there's nothing to gain. Grandma Rose knew that. She wrote it in her real will, the one that stood up in court. Family isn't blood. It's showing up. It's staying. It's loving without conditions. Dominica, you were my family when everyone else was just relatives. I read those words at her grave last Sunday. Brought her favorite flowers, yellow roses, obviously. Told her about the foundation, about the families we've helped, about the garden I'm trying not to kill. I think she would have laughed at that. My black thumb was always a running joke between us. Grandma, I said, kneeling on the grass beside her headstone, you were right about all of it. And I'm okay now. Better than okay. I'm free. A breeze rustled through the cemetery trees. Probably just wind, but I like to think she heard me. I stood up, brushed off my knees, and walked back to my car. Back to my life, the real one. The one that started the day my family ended. We're done. And I've never been more grateful.